Today we're checking out a brand new series of audio interfaces from PreSonus. Let's get started. This time out we're looking at the new Quantum series of audio interfaces from PreSonus. Now these interfaces are a culmination of PreSonus making digital audio gear for 30 years, so they've brought a lot of experience and a lot of technical expertise to the design of these. We have actually two different series within the series. We have the ES series, which are on top here. We'll take a closer look in just a second. And then we have the HD series here as well. But all four of these interfaces sound fantastic, they offer tons of features, and they directly integrate with Studio One. Of course, you can also use them with any other DAW as well. We've got universal control via phone, via app on a tablet or your computer. So all kinds of features with these interfaces. Let's take a closer look and check them out. Let's begin with the Quantum ES2. Now this is the least expensive of the new Quantum family, but that doesn't mean that it's any way inferior to any of the others. It's still a fantastic audio interface. It offers us two inputs and two outputs, and like all of the interfaces in the family, it features a new low latency driver, so it's great for tracking, overdubbing, for mixing. Anything you want to do with this interface is going to work very well. The resolution for this interface is 24-bit up to 192 kilohertz sample rate. And we've got new instrument level inputs, as right here on the front panel of the ES2. And it's the same on all of these interfaces, but these inputs were developed in cooperation with Fender. And so it's the exact same input as is on Fender's ToneMaster Pro. So this is going to be great for plugging in your guitar, for your bass. You're going to get great results with it. As far as the other inputs, they're here on the back panel. We've got combi jacks for mic and line level signals on channels 1 and 2. We've got balanced TRS outputs for connecting your monitors, your main outs. We've got MIDI in and out. Now these are on 1/8" jacks, but they'll break out to 5-pin DIN cables with adapters. And then we have two USB ports, USB-C ports. The first is for connecting to your device, whether a phone, a tablet, or your computer. You hook that up here, and this can be bus powered using that. If your device can't provide bus power, there's also an aux USB-C jack here that you can use for a 5-volt power supply, the same as you'd use on a cell phone or something like that. The inputs on the Quantum ES2 are the same as on the other devices, and they're the new Max HD preamps from PreSonus. These are newly developed, and they offer 75 dB of gain, and a great feature is they also have auto gain setting. That's just switched right here. When you hit that, it'll look at the incoming levels and set the proper preamp level for you. Couldn't make recording any easier. We've got LED ladder monitoring here on the input and the output. You've got individual phantom power on and off. We've got a mute dim switch. We've got headphone output. This master control controls the volume either for the main outs for your monitors, or when you press this button, will control the headphone level out. Now, one of the great features of the Quantum ES2, just like with all of the new Quantum interfaces, is you can directly control this from within Studio One. We'll take a look at that in just a little bit. Of course, you can use any of the Quantum interfaces with any DAW that you want. They're compatible with everything as far as that goes. But within Studio One, you do get direct integration. There's also PreSonus's Universal Control app. Again, we'll take a look at that in just a second. For phone, for tablet, or for your computer that allow you direct access to all the parameters inside, as well as for setting up latency-free mixes using the onboard mixer. Next up, we have the Quantum ES4. Now this is the big brother of the ES2, all the same features, with the addition of 2 more inputs and 2 more outputs. So this is a 4-in, 4-out device. And with those 4 outputs, we also can connect 2 sets of monitors and switch back and forth between those, monitor A, monitor B. Now let's jump to the Quantum HD interfaces. I'm going to move this over here. This is the Quantum HD2. Now this is the big brother of the ES2 and the ES4, but it ups the specs even more. So this is a 20-in, 24-out audio interface. If we jump around to the back panel, we've got our 2 mic line inputs here. We've got 4 sets of outputs, but we have 2 banks of ADAT. So this gives us a total of 16 channels in and 16 channels out over optical ADAT connection. You see this DB9 connector? That breaks out to SPDIF, stereo SPDIF, digital in and out, as well as to MIDI in and out. Now in this case, we have a single USB-C jack, and it does come with the power supply that you need. Oh, and by the way, the DB9 connector, the unit does include the breakout cable, so you're good to go right out of the box for hooking up via MIDI or SPDIF. Around on the front panel, one of the changes you'll notice is we also have 2 guitar or instrument level outputs. Now these are reamp outputs, so this allows you to record direct through the HD2 with your guitar or your bass straight into your DAW, then play back and route to an amplifier or through pedals, different effects, try different sounds out. So that's a fantastic convenience feature built right into the front panel there. I mentioned the specs on the HD series, the HD2 and the HD8 here. One difference, these offer 32-bit resolution on the inputs and up to 192 kilohertz sample rate. Now in addition, the frequency response on the HD interfaces is flat from 20 Hz to 20 kilohertz within plus or minus 0.1 dB. With the ES interfaces, we're just plus or minus 0.2 dB from 20 to 20. So all these interfaces are completely ruler flat over the entire frequency spectrum. One other difference with the HD interfaces is we have a full color display here, a high resolution display. We'll take a look at that when we look at the HD8. The HD interfaces can also operate standalone. So with the HD8, for example, we can run 8 microphone signals in and send those directly back out over the ADAT light pipe output. So you can stack these interfaces together or use them with other external audio gear that supports ADAT inputs. As with the ES interfaces, the HD interfaces support direct control from within Studio One, but they're compatible with any audio interface. And by the way, the ES interfaces come with 6 months of Studio One Plus, so you're completely set with a full version of Studio One right out of the box. And with the HD interfaces, you get 12 months of Studio One Plus. So let's take a little closer look at the HD8. That's the rack mount interface I have here below. And it gives us a good idea of the user interface both on the unit, and we'll take a look in Studio One and at universal control as well. So we've got individual input selection, push the button, and now our master control operates that. Take that back out. We have 48 volt on and off. That's discrete for each of the inputs. We have our auto gain setting on all the interfaces. The color tells us what we're controlling with the main control knob here. Blue indicates the main output. When we hit the headphone, it goes to green. I mentioned that full color display here on the front panel. If we click, we can move among the different choices. So here's our ADAT inputs. We've got ADAT outputs. This is our setting for our main outputs. Now let's take a look at controlling these interfaces using Studio One. So what we need to do is come over here and go to the settings. And now if we turn on audio device controls, you'll see a couple of things happen. This little space opens up at the top of each channel strip, and we also see a master strip appear over here. Now this strip on the right-hand side of the screen allows us to select what's feeding our different outputs for our phones, for example. Here's phones 1 and 2. This is phones 3 and 4. So let's go ahead and set this to be output 3 and 4. And our second headphone output is set to output 5 and 6. We also have our main monitor source we can dim. You can see on the front panel, it changes as I'm doing that. We can also mute from here. We can select among our 2 different speakers. And we can also choose to have the speaker switch either go between A and B, so we can go between 2 sets of monitors, or if we go to A plus B, this allows us, for example, to add a subwoofer in. So if we now click B, we could use one of those outputs to add a subwoofer, and now we'd be listening to all 3 of the speakers, our mains as well as our subwoofer there. Let's put this back to A-B switching, and now again we're switching between 2 sets of stereo monitors. So that's on our master output section here. But on the channels, if we assign a channel to an input, now you can see at the top here that we get a display that indicates the settings for that channel inside the interface. Let's go ahead and select channel 1 here, and now when we turn up the gain, we can see that changing in the interface as well. But we also have control over other parameters. So we can turn 48 volt on and off. We can engage a pad for each channel. We can engage a high pass filter, or we can select auto gain for that channel. So this means you can set up all the recording parameters for your inputs right inside Studio One. You never need to actually touch the interface, which is a super cool way to work. What if you're using any of the many other DAWs besides Studio One? In that case, you can take charge of everything inside your interface using PreSonus's Universal Control app for phone, tablet, or computer. So let's switch over to that. I've got it running here as well. So if we open that up, we can see that in this case with the HD8, we have an 8-channel mixer. This allows us to set up latency-free mixes. So we can create a main mix. We can also create a headphone mix for phones 1 and for phones 2. So we can send out 3 separate mixes simultaneously. We can use the additional outputs besides our main outs. For sends, we can bring things back on the returns. We have loop back 1 and 2. This is bringing the signal back in from our computer. We can also choose what we're looking at. So if we open this up here, we can choose to view the digital inputs, our analog inputs, the loop back inputs, and so on. Here you can see where we're setting up our headphone sources, output 3 and 4, output 5 and 6. We can choose our SPDIF source. We can set whether the mute button on the front panel does mute or dim. You can have your choice of either of those. We can set the LED brightness, so on, our meter decay, whether we have peak hold, and so on. So all the parameters you need to control your interface can be handled right from your device using the Universal Control app with any DAW. I hope you've enjoyed this look at the new Quantum family of audio interfaces from PreSonus. From the ES2 to the HD8, these come in at very friendly prices, offer outstanding sound quality, and tons of features. They work exceptionally well in Studio One, but they're a great choice no matter what DAW you're using. Be sure to check these out. They make a great choice whether you're recording on the go, either super portable, just throw it in your bag, or whether you want something to install into your studio and have as a flagship interface. Check them out at sweetwater.com or contact your Sweetwater sales engineer for all the information on these or any of PreSonus's products. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Mitch Gallagher from Sweetwater.